On today's edition of the Thrive Time Show, we have a unique opportunity to interview Twila True. Twila True is the co-founder of Volume Ventures. And on today's show, she shares why you must always be a student if you ever want to become a business leader. If you want to become super successful, she explains that you always have to have a coachable mind and you must always be a student if you want to take your business, your career, and your life to the next level. All this and more on today's edition of the Thrive Time Show on your radio and podcast download.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, and yes! Thrive Nation, on today's show, we are interviewing a guest who has seemingly had maybe 3 careers, maybe 4 careers. Some might say this person currently has 5 careers. I don't know how she gets it all done. She's sort of a big deal, and she's agreed to, I think, lower her standards just for a show. Maybe a future show. And she's right here on the Thrive Time Show. Twila True, welcome on to the Thrive Time Show. How are you, ma'am?
I am fantastic. So happy to be here.
Hey, I'm fired up to have you here. For people out there that are going to Google search you, they're going to type in your name right now, Twila True. They're going to type in your name and they're going to Google search you. How would you describe what you do now?
Family office. We run different verticals and invest in different companies.
So give us an example of some of these verticals that you invest in that maybe some of our listeners could relate to or know about. Maybe they have a common understanding of it.
Yeah, sure. So we have a wide span of verticals. You know, you always want to keep it diverse. Real estate is one of our verticals, single family residential homes, nice, boring little asset class, but it's consistent, asset based, does the returns. 2 others are in entertainment. So one, we work with entertainers, brands, licensing, and we do consumer goods online and in retail. The third one is entertainment. Entertainment complexes is what we're building, and we make music.
Okay, so you've got the single unit real estate, and then you have entertainment, you're saying complexes. What does that mean for people out there that don't know what you're referencing?
Sure. So it's entertainment complex. Volume is the name of the company, and it has a few verticals underneath it. One of the verticals is publishing. So we sign on up and coming artists, signed on about 3 over the last 12 months, every single one, top 20 pop hits, such as Roddy Ricch, Trippie Redd. They just got at a session with Alicia Keys. That's the publishing company. Studios, first studio being built in Inglewood, California, 25,000 square feet. Second one is in Vegas, in Resorts World, and then a few more offshore.
If people want to see these studios or see what you're doing with Volume, where can they see that?
1500 Sound Academy.
1500 Sound Academy. And if they go there, that's the website where they can see it?
Yes. If they go to Volume Ventures, or if they go to 1500 Sound Academy or Volume Ventures. So Volume is the whole co. That's what houses all of the studios, live room, green rooms, theater. 1500 Sound Academy is an academy underneath Volume.
And how do you monetize that? How does that make money?
Yeah, so, everything, you're always looking for a need or a niche and how crowded that market is. So on the Academy, I have 2 partners on that company, Rance Dobson and James Fauntleroy. They're one of the largest music songwriters and publishers.
Yeah.
And so on the Academy side, the way we monetize is it's a classroom, it's a class, 6-month course curriculum. And a lot of people right now, they don't know if they want to do what their dad did. They don't know if they want to go to a 4U university, spend 2 years in general ed. So the way you monetize is we monetize by having these 6-month courses.
And I'm seeing on the website here on 1500sound.academy. That's 1500sound.academy. I'm seeing people that we might know, like Diddy, or I used to go by Puff Daddy. Then he went by Puff. Then he went by P. Diddy. Then he just went by Diddy. I don't know what we should call him right now, but he's sort of a big deal. What's he doing on the website?
So they have come over and taught courses. So P. Diddy, Rihanna, people like Snoop, Kendrick Lamar. So, they're friends, all friends of ours, and co-creators.
Wow.
And just want to support and teach.
So where did you come from? What was your life like growing up?
I'm not too sure about the very beginning years. It's one of those things where when you're growing up, you're saying, okay, well, if I talk younger than 3, everybody gets super uncomfortable. So not too sure about 0 to 3. A little bit of a family that, they were just middle class but great people. Was adopted by a Hispanic man when I was about 5 or 6 years old. And, just really taught and embedded in my mind that I was going to do great things. I believed him.
So how did you get your first job? I know I worked at Applebee's, Target, and DirecTV simultaneously. What was your first big job? How did you get started?
Same as you. First job was working at a hot dog stand, and we were just poor, and I just didn't want to be poor. So worked very humble beginnings. Didn't have the opportunity to get a formal education. So I went to night school. Just wanted to figure out, okay, if there's 2 areas where you seem to be able to if you understand these 2 things, you can probably make some money if that's what you're trying to do, which is understand accounting, understand finance. So an income statement, always been able to understand what affects an income statement. The second thing is sales. And I just felt that if I could operate and understand those 2 spaces, one, I understood what the income statement and the things that I was doing and how it affected income. And then second, sales skills. And
so what was your first job where you really learned the skills? Or did you have a mentor that helped you? Or was there a book you read that kind of unlocked? Because sales is something that a lot of people never really master, but yet it's a skill that everyone needs to know.
I had a lot of great mentors along the way. When I say mentors, I think just good people, right? I had a coach, I had an English teacher, I had just good people who guided me. But then really my first big break was I started to work for smaller family offices. Family offices, if you go into a big corporation, one of my jobs was in UPS. I found if I worked for UPS, I was just employee number, 3,000, whatever. And I was going to do a job, but it didn't really mean that I could master something and then master and move up. When I worked for smaller companies, if I could master a skill. So, there are only so many different skill sets around any job or any company. There's operations, sales, accounting. So I tried to work all of those skill sets, move up the ladder. And again, a small company allows you to, interchange and move around. And then I discovered that it doesn't matter whether it's a small income statement or a large one, as long as you can learn the skill set.
So when did you feel like you were finally gaining traction where you thought like, wow, I am actually maybe going to have some success? Was there a certain moment where you remember having that thought?
Yes, I do. I was 27 years old. I had already done operations, sales, and then accounting in a company called Synthane Taylor, which makes printed circuit boards. And the position of GM/president came up, and really I was there, and so it was right time, right place. But I put myself there too by working the circuit.
Okay, and so then what was your first? How did you fund your first company? Or how did you go about doing it? So many entrepreneurs who listen to this show struggle with getting the funding. They want to know how to fund. I know for myself, I had multiple jobs. I lived way below my means. I saved everything possible. How did you fund your first business endeavor?
Funding is funny, right? Funding, the first thing is just funding yourself. So I think everybody goes through, okay, How can I buy food, clothing, then you buy an apartment or rent an apartment, then you move into a house, then you have one car, two cars. It's really, once you can manage that base, put something sort of aside, and then you start out super small. And usually you're trying to work a couple jobs at a time.
And so you're working multiple jobs at one time. You're saving money. What was your first venture that went big time? It was because now obviously you're having major success. What was the first one that really took off?
I think the first one that really took off is probably the consumer goods side. So that one is when we built and we manufactured consumer goods, sold all across to retail across the US. That was really the first one. That's what we created income off of 25 years ago.
Wow. Okay. So how would you describe the pie chart of your day now? Like, what do you spend most of your day on at this point? If you have so many different things going on, how do you spend your time?
Definitely have a list. So I have three lists, which is today, tomorrow, and things to be worked on to plant the seeds. So another thing that I've done that's pretty interesting is I've always kept journals. So I have journals, ledgers and journals, and I kind of go from paper to Evernote right now. But I find that if I write it, it sticks in my brain. If I write it, I can always go back. But for about the last 20 years, I've got a journal of every single day of my life.
Wow. Would you recommend that for everybody out there to journal?
I really would. Yeah, I really would. It's crazy, and you're walking around with, a journal. You can just have one a month. But, in the very front, I've always got the sort of the high level goals so I don't forget those. And so in the very front page of all of it's whatever I'm trying to accomplish on that short list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Behind that, what I'm accomplishing for the day.
So on your lists, what are you most excited about right now? What's the thing right now where you say this right here is the project that you're really locked into?
I would say the project I'm really locked into right now is volume. So volume, we got the Inglewood building going up, 25,000 square feet, second location going up in Vegas that will open up in August. And then we're building about 12 more of these across Asia.
Wow. Okay. Now, on today's show, we're joined here in the studio by James. He's an attorney, and Aaron Antis. He runs Oklahoma's largest home building company. And James, you're known, you're notorious with our listeners here for asking the questions that paint our guests into a corner, which thus sometimes leads to them immediately hanging up. With that being said, what question do you have for Twila?
Well, yeah,
Don't
Clay.
hang up.
Clay has this song, started from the bottom, now we're here. I remain at the bottom. That's why Clay keeps me around, just as these like horrible bottom feeding, just ridiculous questions. But anyway, so here it goes. Now, if you would say, like, what would you say to like the person that is, just getting started out? I had somebody come to me today with like a startup idea. She wanted to work with kids. She was kind of all like, didn't know what to do. It was full of energy, ready to rock and roll. What would you say is the first thing that she should do? And I said she should grab Clay's book called Start Here. But I'm interested in what you'd have to say about that.
I actually have a different book for women also specifically. And I can kind of sometimes ruffle some feathers on that. It's harder for women, and that is how it is. But you just have to know that playbook. You just have to know that it's there. But it's harder in some ways, and actually some ways it's not, and how is it not? That's how you always have to just figure out, okay, whatever's hard, get over it and just say, yep, that's a hurdle and I'm not going to let it stop me. But what are my advantages? The advantage as a woman is typically, for the most part, unless they're super jerks, you walk in with currency as a woman. Men want to respect you. They want to support you, and you have to hang on to that currency. So just, don't walk in, I'm a woman, I'm a minority, I'm, any of those things. Walk in being articulate, knowing what it is that you want to do, representing yourself how you want to be represented. And for the most part, everyone will support you.
What is that book that you'd recommend? I think you'd mentioned a book. Is there a title that you have?
No. I'm making it up. A journal.
Oh, gotcha.
There you go.
Now, you have co-founded this Volume Ventures with a lot of different people, I believe. Who are some of the more notable members of your team that have built Volume Ventures with you?
So my two co-founders, James Fauntleroy, he just came out with a single with Nas and DJ Khaled, and he's one of the largest songwriters in the world. And Rance Dobson, he's one of the largest music producers in the world.
How do you meet these people?
I really have no fear to go out and venture. You talked about startup. I mean, I get pitched all the time, right? And it takes a thousand conversations to find that one. And most of the times you strike out, but I just keep going out there and visiting and talking with people that they say I should talk to.
So what would be, right now, if you were to give all the listeners a word of advice, a word of encouragement, what would you say to all the listeners out there that are entrepreneurial, that are looking to take their life and business to the next level? What would you say? What's the pro tip?
I would say, I would say that I'm always a student. So always learning, there's always tons of things I don't know. So I'm constantly, I'm a very good listener. What I do know, I understand it in a respectful way. I let others, know that. And I just consume a lot of content and a lot of things to understand and learn more.
Has there been a celebrity musician that you've worked with that has made you nervous? Has there been one where you're like, oh, I cannot believe I'm here in the studio, in the room with this person? Is there anybody at all or nobody? And I'm gonna guess it's Neil Diamond. It's okay. You can admit Neil Diamond. The sideburns got you. I get it. But beyond Neil Diamond, who is there any musician at all that's ever?
No,
Come
I
on.
got to tell you, I'm not starstruck, and I think that's been helpful for me in a room. I think that's been very helpful. I'm not starstruck. I don't act like and because I'm not starstruck, I think what happens is most people gravitate to the highest point in the room. So even celebrities, even people who, kind of always have people chasing after them, because I don't. So if there's an after party, I don't participate. If there's, I'm all business all the time. And I think that honestly, in my career and for what I do, it's been very helpful.
For the listeners out there that want to be starstruck, who are some of the musicians that you've worked with directly that may cause starstruckness? And you just can't keep saying Neil Diamond. I know you're not saying it, but I mean that's obvious for everybody out there.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
got to be Neil Diamond. But anybody else that you've worked with that you go that's a name that our listeners might know?
I've worked with tons of people, so some are musicians, but I would say what always maybe makes me feel good is the ones that are surprising. So let's say like Nicole Richie is so humble, sweet, kind. Probably the most dramatic that people are really surprised at is Dan Bilzerian. He and I get along magically, and I think that what's great about him, and I only speak about personal experience, not people's personal choices. Just he respects my way of living. I respect that he has a choice and way of living, and that's just a few.
He's known for saying, "I've worked very, very hard for my inheritance," which was pretty funny.
How would you describe your way of living? And I'll let you have the final word on that. How would you describe your way of living? What is the Twila True way of living?
I think that I'm pretty open, pretty transparent. I think if I don't know, I'm always the first to put it out there, and people will educate me. And if I do know, then I put that out in a very respectful way. And I think that when I'm nice, it comes across well. But I think when I have to not be nice, I'm never a jerk.
You've got good hair.
Thank you.
It's
very fluffy.
No, you could be like in one of those hair commercials. Everyone's got the hair.
It's glistening.
It's incredible hair. Do people compliment your hair a lot? I mean, no, seriously, it's great hair.
Actually, my hair is one of my superpowers.
Really?
Yes.
You look like a Vidal Sassoon commercial.
Yeah,
Well,
put like a gentle fan on next time so that it's just
Yeah.
It's
Smooth
interesting because
down and-
my question for her, and maybe this is, you alluded to it already, Clay, but my question was, I find that so many people fail to do something great with their life because they have no confidence in themselves. And I see this so often. Where does your confidence come from? You're a very confident person.
Yeah, the hair,
You
right?
can tell. And I'm thinking maybe it's the hair,
It's
but
the
is
hair,
there
huh?
something else?
Yeah, honestly, here's the short story. My father, who I told you adopted me, he was a middle-class guy, mechanic, pretty humble life, cursed like a sailor, Vietnam War veteran. I can remember coming home, boxing matches, again, cursing like a sailor until the moment I walked in the room. And then he cleaned it up. Everybody, all the men in the room better stand up. So I was just kind of raised with this way.
Yeah.
And so it just comes very, very natural. And I think that if you, as a female, again, if you do that naturally, people like it, but you have to be very, as a female, in the middle. I'm married with 4 kids. I don't want to be a man. I love my feminism. You can't emasculate men. I want to be a good partner. I want to be supportive. And then that also helps the other way too. As I said, men, love to respect women.
I'll get off it in a minute as we wrap up today's show, but I got to ask you, what hair product are you using? I mean, what is the...
Oh, thank you. This is Bumble.
Really? Bumble.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Clay,
makes it-
I think you could improve your hair, Clay, if you would use some
Bumble
Bumble.
volume, Clay.
Volume. Bumble.
Yes.
Volume. Folks, this is not a shameless commercial. I don't make a commission on this, but I'm saying if you want hair that allows you to have confidence,
Yes.
it's going to allow you to team up with celebrity musicians to open up an incredible business, folks. If you're struggling with confidence, if you want to take your life to the next level, perhaps you should always be a student.
That's true.
Perhaps you should work hard.
Yeah,
Perhaps you should be diligent. But also perhaps you should use the Bumble hair products.
that's true.
It's working for her.
Yes.
Hey, thank you, Twila True. I really do appreciate you. And I hope
It
you
was
have
such
a
a
great rest
pleasure.
of your day.
I appreciate you guys. Thank
Take care,
you.
friend.
Thanks, Twila.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Now, folks, for anybody out there that doesn't know, I want to make sure everybody out there knows this. We have a rumble.com channel. And our rumble.com channel is where we put a lot of epic shows up there. And so if you're listening to this podcast and you want to hear some really, really raw truth, you want to hear the stuff that... If you're kind of wanting to hear the next level stuff, I encourage you to find the Thrive Time Show on rumble.com. Again, that's rumble.com. And there you will find the real and raw edition of the Thrive Time Show. We might have an interview where we go just a little bit deeper on rumble.com. You might find some videos that you can't find anywhere else. You might find the real and raw truth right there on rumble.com that you might not be able to find on the other players. So again, if you haven't subscribed to the Thrive Time Show on rumble.com, I encourage you to go to rumble.com today and look for the Thrive Time Show there and click the subscribe button. And you don't have to have the rumble.com app on your phone in order to watch the videos or listen to the content. You just go to rumble.com and search for Thrive Time Show, and there you can find each and every one of our Thrive Time shows right there at rumble.com. And now, without any further ado, 3, 2, 1, boom!